I wanted to talk more about the duty to investigate. This is becoming a huge issue in common law courts across Canada now. And funny enough, 20 years ago was not even on the radar. So let's take this down, look at the human rights, then the common law cases. Human rights, the law is divided as to whether the failure to investigate itself is actionable without success in the underlying human rights complaint. Cases go back and forth. However, the common law courts have taken a much more aggressive approach and have, in fairness, been much more creative in how they've looked at this issue. There's one case in 2022 which was particularly alarming. The plaintiff had been physically assaulted by his superior at work and was also subject to racial abuse verbally. The company was found to have failed to investigate the complaints made by the individual. Now, the consequences of that were huge. Number one, this was used as support for a finding of constructive dismissal, that is, termination of employment. Secondly, it was supportive, not only, but supportive of the aggravated damage claim of $75,000 and was also supportive of the $25,000 in punitive damages. So clearly, the employer was getting, if I could say, punched right back by the plaintiff in this case. And what's more, the court found that the failure to investigate itself led to a poisoned work environment. Poisoned work environment are critical words in human rights language, which basically means that the employer is responsible for the consequences. And the court found $50,000 was the right damage award for that, on top of the other sums. So it was roughly $150,000 in incremental damages over and above the severance payment, all of which could have been avoided. There was a second case in 2024 in which the employee worked as a domestic helper, property manager of an apartment building, and she was being sexually harassed not by other employees but by two tenants in the building. And the court again found that the employer had failed to take proper steps to investigate. And in this case, the investigation, the court said, would have led to the end of the continuum of harassment she was suffering. So it was a huge case, and the court awarded $125,000 in additional damages due to this failure to investigate. So it's huge. It's also reminiscent of a case in Calgary. Same sort of thing happened where the company did not investigate the complaints made by a female employee of sexual harassment, which again led to the continuum of the same conduct the employee was complaining about. In that case, the court found $125,000 in aggravated or pain and suffering damages, a further sum for lost income of $125,000, and then a further sum yet of another $565,000 for future lost income. So roughly $800,000 was the sum the employer had to pay. Could have been avoided if they took reasonable steps to investigate. That's all they have to do. So these claims are now becoming absolutely gargantuan in Ontario and other courts in Canada. So beware and be wise. It's a big claim.